If you want to be a content creator or you are a content creator and you feel like you just do not have the time to film a morning routine every day, you're busy, you have things going on. Maybe you have a 9-to-5 job, maybe you have kids, maybe you just have a busy life, but you still want to be a content creator, you still want to make content. Or maybe you just are a content creator and you've been doing it for some time, but you feel like you're just constantly in this cycle of burnout, of always getting burnt out because you do not have enough time to do the things that you want to do. Well, you have come to the right place because today we are going to unpack how to make content creation a lot easier, a lot less time consuming, so you can be a content creator and balance it alongside all the busy things that you have going on in your life. I started on social media when I was 23. I was working a 9-to-5 corporate job in marketing. I did that for 3 years before quitting my 9-to-5 job to be a full-time entrepreneur. And now I run a company full-time, have this podcast full-time, and do content creation as well. So I've always done content creation on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram alongside something else. And let me tell you, over the years, there have been so many tears, so many breakdowns, so many cycles of burnout, of just trying to balance everything. And content creation specifically can be so overwhelming because I'm sure you know this feeling, like you're always drowning, you're never done all your work, you're always could be doing more. So today we're gonna get into all of that. We're gonna create a system that works for you, and I'm gonna give you a bunch of tricks, hacks, tips that I've learned over the years of how to just be a content creator without ruining your entire life. Okay, the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to get rid of the feeling like you are always drowning. You were never done. You can't just close your laptop, finish off the week. Because one of the biggest feelings and one of the most common reasons I think we get so burnt out and so overwhelmed is because we feel like we just aren't doing enough, because that is the nature of content creation. You know, when you're in a 9-to-5 job or like any job that you're really in where you have a boss and somebody gives you a task list for the week or a task list for the day, as soon as you're done it, you think, okay, I'm done, I'm accomplished, check that off the list, close the laptop, I'm done for the day. That feeling is so hard to achieve, both as a content creator and as an entrepreneur. It is so impossible a lot of the time to feel like you are done work for the day or for the week. So you feel like you are always drowning. You feel like you're always failing at something, because even if you posted all your content for the week, you post a bunch of TikToks, a YouTube video, a podcast episode maybe, that's great, but it's really hard to celebrate that because maybe you didn't send out any outreach email to brands, or you didn't respond to your DMs, respond to your comments, you didn't change your channel banner. Maybe you should start something new. Maybe you should be on more platforms. Like, there's always more you could be doing. Maybe you should reshare your graphics to Pinterest or your TikToks to YouTube Shorts. Like, there are endless tasks that you can be doing as a content creator. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stop that mindset and stop that feeling, because what I want you to feel by the end of this episode is that you were able to achieve that feeling where you got everything done that you needed to get done. Needed to get done is the key word, not wanted to get done. And you feel like it's sustainable and calming, and you're like, okay, I can do this. Like, I have the time to be a content creator. So to get rid of this feeling like you're always drowning, we're going to put our floaties on. We're going to put our life jacket on through a weekly structure or weekly checklist that is easy. So what does this look like? What I want you to do is sit back and think, how much content is it easy for you to post per week? When I worked a 9-to-5 job, it was pretty easy for me to post 1 YouTube video and 2 TikToks a week. Like, that was easy. I could probably push myself and do more, but not pushing yourself, what's easy for you to do, not just for 1 week, but for 6 months. If you were to do this every single week for 6 months or more, what's easy? How much content can you post every single week that is not a push, that's not like a hustle for yourself? In your weekly checklist, your weekly structure, list out how much content you want to post every single week. That's easy and attainable. And also any other content creation tasks that you want to do every single week. This could be you really feel like you need to reach out to brands every single week, maybe 5 brands. Maybe you want to spend 10 minutes responding to comments twice a week. Make everything very quantifiable, very specific for the week. For me, when I was in a 9-to-5 job, my weekly structure, my checklist was 1 YouTube video, 2 TikToks, and spend 10 minutes responding to DMs 2 times a week. That was it. That was all I had the time to do that I felt like was easy for me to do. So what you really want to create is this checklist and structure that on Fridays or Sundays, whenever you want to end the work week for yourself, you think, okay, I did everything I needed to do, Everything else, like maybe you reach out to brands, update your channel banner, do any other things, that's bonus. That's if you have time. It's a nice to do, not a need to do. That's bonus. But what you want to really focus on is what you need to do every single week, and be realistic, be kind to yourself, give yourself grace that it's okay. If what your checklist is looking like is one TikTok, that's fine. You need to make this custom and genuinely be real with yourself, that you don't have to push and hustle all the time, which we're going to get into in a second, because it's so easy to get into this mindset of like, okay, one TikTok a week makes me feel like a big failure because other people are posting 10 times a day. We're going to get out of that mindset in a second, but just before we get into it, think about, okay, what's easy, what's sustainable, what do I really need to do every single week? Okay, now we're going to move into a little bit of a mindset shift, which helps a lot with making content creation easier and less time consuming, is we're going to rebrand consistency, and we're going to break up with this hyperfixation on a scarcity mindset when it comes to content creation. So I'm sure, like I was saying in the beginning of this video, beginning of this podcast, it is so easy when you go online and you're like, okay, TikTok creation tips, how to grow on TikTok 2024, how to grow on YouTube, how to become a full-time influencer. Everybody talks about consistency. It's like the old school YouTuber back in 2012, what everyone said, post once a week, never skip it. That mindset has really translated into TikTok as well. We've all probably heard the post 3 times a day on TikTok. That mindset of consistency, I completely disagree with, because I don't view consistency as how many times a day that you post, how many times a week that you post. I'm sure you've heard me say this if you listen to the show a lot or you watch me on TikTok. I say this all the time, but I'm going to say it again, because consistency has nothing to do with how much you post. Consistency has everything to do with your energy and how your audience feels. It is so much more important for your brand, for grounding yourself and what you really want to do, big picture, what your brand is for, what your mission is for, is that every single time somebody watches a piece of your content, they feel the same way. Every single time you make a piece of content, your energy is the same. That is what matters when it comes to consistency. So again, going back to your weekly structure, how many times a week can you post videos and post content that your energy is good, that your energy is consistent? And by energy, I don't mean how loud and outgoing can you be every single week or every single time you make a video, because that might not be your energy. You might want to have more of a peaceful, calming energy, whoever you genuinely are. But when can you show up authentically in a genuine energy that is really, really you? How many times a week can you really do that? So going back to our weekly schedule and resetting our mindset, it is so easy to think, what should I be doing? How much should I be posting? How many brands should I be reaching out to? How many followers should I have? How many views should I have? We need to stop shooting on ourselves, okay? Because if you watched last week's episode, then you know we did a big deep dive into how to create a business plan, a 6-step content strategy, all of that. If you have done that, remember it, okay? Ground yourself. What are you wanting to really do on social media? Like, what is your brand on social media, your mission, your why? It's probably not to go viral and get a bunch of followers and make a bunch of money. Maybe a piece of that is in there a little bit, that's fine. But bigger than that, big picture, social media side, what are you really trying to do? Are you trying to help people feel confident, help people go to the gym, help people feel their best, find their skincare routine, feel related to, feel companionship? Like, what are you really trying to do? And so when rebranding your mindset around consistency, if that's what you're trying to do, is it better to post 10 times a week just to randomly post for the sake of posting? Does that get you closer to what you're trying to do? Or does posting one really good, authentic video that's valuable, that's high quality, that's really on point, that's really helpful, does that get you closer to what you want to do? Probably the latter. Instead of thinking in that mindset of what should I do, what makes the most sense depending on what everyone else is doing, center yourself and your mission and your why and what you really want to do. And how can you accomplish that that's realistic and just makes sense for your lifestyle in terms of how much you're going to post and what your work tasks are every single week. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we are going to simplify your content strategy and your content posting schedule. Here's what I recommend, and I have 3 alternatives. Okay, first let's talk about platforms. I recommend picking 2 platforms. There are so many: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, Snapchat. I hear Snapchat's popping off. Maybe we should all get on there. I don't really know. But regardless, there's so many platforms you can pick. In my opinion, I would, to be completely honest, if I like one-to-one, if we're at a coffee shop, get on TikTok. TikTok, yes, it can be very humbling and very frustrating to start fresh on a platform if you're not in there right now. That also being said, TikTok could be your worst nightmare. I know so many people, I meet with people all the time who hate TikTok. It is such an annoying platform. Sometimes to grow one, it can be very confusing, very overwhelming. It's very new, especially if you're not on there a lot. Let me just say, TikTok is going to be your best friend when you figure it out. I actually have a whole video on TikTok specifically, a whole episode on it as well. So the reason I'm saying this is because if you're starting only on YouTube and only on Instagram, it can be really discouraging easy because you think, okay, I'm putting all of these hours into a YouTube video and I'm not getting a lot of reach. And the way that the algorithm just is on Instagram, it's not the same as TikTok. The reach is just harder to do. In terms of approaching your strategy of the platforms you want to do, pick two, one short form and one long form, or just two, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, Instagram, whatever you want to do. Pick two platforms. We're going to simplify it. Now let's think about, okay, there are 3 ways that you can approach content on social media. This is my favorite way for somebody who does not have a lot of time, which is the theme of this video. It's to have the goal of blending your platforms together. So here comes into the 3 ways that you can do this. Number 1 is what I love to do, especially when I'm really busy, is I have a weekly theme for everything. So for example, this week on the podcast, on my YouTube, I'm talking about how to be a content creator when you don't have time. That could be my theme for the week on everything. So what I would do is I'd be like, okay, I have my one content topic theme for the week. I'm going to do that on my podcast, on my YouTube, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, on my Pinterest. That's what I'm doing. It's the same theme across everything. So then maybe my weekly structure, I have 1 YouTube video and 3 TikToks. So my 1 YouTube video is going to be about this, long form. And then I'm going to have 3 TikToks that are about the same thing, but different styles. So maybe I'll do a vlog where I voice over how I do this and really showing you. Maybe I do a green screen, which is more telling, showing versus telling content, which we talked about last week. But maybe a green screen telling you how to do it, like giving you some tips. And maybe the 3rd video is like a carousel slider of like tips of how to do it. Then if you want to go even farther, I could download some of those TikToks and reshare them to Instagram Reels, to Pinterest, YouTube Shorts. It's done. So you have a weekly theme that goes across everything. I love this when I'm really busy because you don't have to think of new ideas all the time. If you hate that idea, that's fine. I have 2 other ways to do it. So a lot of people don't like that because they don't like the idea of just doing one thing the whole week on every single platform. So another option is what you can do is you can have 3 content pillars. I say this all the time. Content pillars are ultimately just buckets of content. It's a really traditional marketing thing that like every company uses ever on their social media strategy. It's 3 buckets of content. So for example, maybe your mission, your why, your whole reason, your brand, what you want it to stand for is that you want to help women go to the gym, feel confident at the gym, get into fitness, feel confident. So your 3 content pillars could be content pillar 1 is outfits to wear to the gym that make you feel comfy. Content pillar 2 is how to feel confident at the gym, how to stop caring what people think, like advice. Pillar number 3 is gym tutorials. So those are your 3 content pillars. So once you have that strategy, what you would do to blend all your platforms together is you would have the same pillar go out every single day. So what I mean by this, if you want to do 3 times a week, so what that would mean is that pillar 1, gym outfits, is gym outfits on Instagram, gym outfits on TikTok. Alternatively, if you're not a scheduled person like me, I really don't like having rigidity when it comes to content because I feel like my energy sometimes is just a little bit off. It's not the same. So alternatively, you can have a structure instead of a schedule. So what this means is that you have your 3 content pillars and you just have, okay, 3 videos this week. That's what I'm going to do for each one on both platforms. But every platform has the same pillar of content going out that day, if that makes sense. Okay, the 3rd way that you can go about content is something that I did last year, which I swear is one of the biggest reasons my TikTok grew as fast as it did. It's because I assigned a series to one platform and that's the only thing I did on it. So again, when you're really busy, it can be very time consuming to come up with ideas all the time. So for me last year, it was the busiest year of my life, like building Busy Blooming, just balancing everything was crazy. So for me, TikTok, the only thing I did on it for the first few months of the year was a series that was called 100 Days to Self-Employed. So it was literally the only thing I did. And the key to a series like this, it does not have to be 100 days every single day. That is a lot. But it was 100 videos of how to become self-employed. So I talked about taxes and how to grow on social media, a lot of marketing stuff, branding stuff. The beauty of dedicating one platform to a series is that you don't have to spend time thinking of content ideas all the time. You probably will figure out a formula that works really well. For me, it was that I always did a Pinterest photo behind me. That's probably how you found me on TikTok. If you do follow me over there, is having a Pinterest photo behind me where I just would do some speaking about marketing and things like that. So it's option 3 is have a series always going on one platform to save you a lot of time. And in that series, execute it really easily. So green screens, maybe voiceovers, maybe just sitting down and talking to the camera, but having a dedicated series helps so much. Okay, so that was kind of a lot of information. I feel like simplifying a content strategy can sometimes be overwhelming overcomplicating it, but getting into it for a second in the long term really does simplify it. So take a break maybe for a second, or just keep listening and think about, okay, what are the 2 platforms I can post on? And for each platform, think about the strategy that you want to approach it. Do you want to have a content pillar strategy? Do you want to have ongoing series on each platform? Do you want to do a weekly theme of content? What I'm trying to say is that there are so many options of how to approach content creation that can be simplified, higher level, blending your platforms together so it's not so much work to balance all the different things. Okay, moving on. I have a few quick tips of just ways to save a lot of time with content. So the first one is get the most traction out of your videos and clips and content as possible. So what I mean by this is, say for example, you do a day in my life vlog. You put it together, you post on TikTok. Don't just use those clips for that vlog. Think about other ways you can use them, because you spent time filming them. They're probably great. I do this all the time. Maybe you could put them together in like a different style of video and just do a voiceover about motivation or tips or something like that. Maybe if you're on Instagram, you use them in a reel that's more aesthetic with just some like text over it, like this is your reminder that blank. There are just so many ways that you can use your content, the clips themselves, and edit them into new videos. In addition to that, reuse your content on multiple platforms. Again, people will often say you can't do this, it doesn't make any sense. I completely disagree. Look at Corporate Natalie, for example. She's a creator, she's like 500,000 followers, I think even more now on TikTok and Instagram. All she does is reshare her TikToks on Instagram Reels. People do it all the time. I've seen it in so many consulting clients. Don't feel like you can't reshare the same content on TikTok and Instagram. You definitely can. That being said, a quick tip, just being honest, I think it works better to reuse TikToks on Instagram Reels versus the opposing. The reason for that is I find that Instagram is more versatile in the way of you could do a vlog, you could do a talking video, but you can also do that like really common aesthetic 7-second quick, like, you know what I'm talking about, like just the really aesthetic videos that are like 7 seconds long with a trending sound, like literally like a Pinterest board. Those do really well on Instagram, but in the reverse, those don't do as well on TikTok. So I find TikToks, which is a lot more talking and things, do well on Instagram, but the Instagram innate content doesn't do as well on TikTok, if that makes sense. But remember, your time is valuable and you put a lot of time into your content if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram. So think about how can you reuse the clips and how can you reuse those videos. If you want to download your TikToks, go on Snaptik, download them, maybe edit them so they're a minute long, put them on YouTube Shorts, put them on Pinterest, put them on Instagram Reels. But that's why I love the strategy of having TikTok as your base platform, because TikTok usually works well on a lot of other platforms, but it's not the same for other ones. But regardless, reuse your content and reuse the clips as much as you can and get creative. Okay, the next piece of advice I love, and I do this all the time, it works great for so many people, is the 3-to-1 idea versus content ratio. So what this means is for every idea that you have, you make 3 videos. So another way to think about this is kind of make your thinking a little bit more high level, a little bit more macro. When you're thinking about video ideas or content ideas, don't make the ideas execution style. So what I mean by this is I think it's really common to think, okay, this week I'm going to do a vlog, I'm going to do a get ready with me. That's what I'm going to do. Those are ways that you execute your idea. Alternatively, the idea would be confidence tips, and the idea would be 9-to-5 work week, showing people that it's possible to balance everything. Those are the ideas. So how you execute confidence tips is maybe through a get ready with me. How you execute showing people that it's possible to balance a 9-to-5 is through a vlog. So that's another way to think about it. But going back to the 3-to-1 content ratio. So for example, let's go into a different topic. Maybe you want to do cooking videos. Like that's what you want to do. You want to do recipes. So how you would do this is your content idea would be 5 easy recipes for busy girlies or something. That's your idea. So how you execute it is in 3 ways. You would do one video that's probably a tutorial voiceover or something. The next video could be a carousel slider photo with like all the different steps. And the last video could be like an aesthetic video, just like quickly making it with like a cute sound or just like a quick voiceover. So for every video idea that you have, you create 3 different styles to get the most out of one idea when you're really busy and don't have a lot of time. My next piece of advice, if you're really busy, you don't have a lot of time, is to stop wasting time making time-consuming content. So what I mean by this is I used to think the only way to be a content creator is to be on YouTube. Like that's how you do it. You become a vlogger. Creating a work week in my life vlog is so time consuming, because not only do you have to like the filming itself of vlogging yourself and bringing it around with you, it's very time consuming, but the editing, the production, the thumbnail, everything we talked about, it's very, very time consuming for one piece of content. I talked about this a couple weeks ago in the episode about how to get out of your own way, but I think I'll say it again. We get really attached to how we think what we want is going to happen. So for example, you're like, okay, I want to be a content creator, so I think how that's going to happen has to be through YouTube. So how I would go about this is think about, what do you really want to do and what's the easiest way to get that point across? Because for me, I really wanted to help people become content creators, grow their business, embrace the cringe, feel confident. One way I could do that is through doing a big YouTube video like this. It takes a lot of time to do it, but I could do that. But it is so much more time efficient to make a TikTok that's 1 minute long on a green screen. Like, it's just way faster to do that. So try to think about, with every video idea or content idea or your overall mission for your brand, what is the least time consuming content for you to make? Because what's time consuming for me might not be time consuming for you. For me, I might think, okay, making a get ready with me video is so easy. It's so fast. I love doing get ready with me's and talking about tips and advice. For you, might be your worst nightmare. For you might think, okay, get ready with me, not happening, but I really like talking to the camera, or I really like doing voiceovers, or I really like filming my life. So think about, for you specifically, what is the least time consuming content to make, and what is the quickest way you can execute your ideas. Okay, 2 more points. Second last thing I want to say is that it is so easy to waste our time on things that don't matter. And what I mean by this is, I used to waste hours on, if you don't, you know, like updating my channel banner, updating my thumbnails, my old ones so they'd all match, updating my bio all the time, spending hours planning out my content weeks, like just so many hours wasted on things that just don't really matter. And again, it's so important to remember, like, your time is so valuable. You have a lot going on, whether it's a full-time job, you're a mom, you have other part-time jobs, you're a student, like there's a lot going on in your life. And so your time is valuable. So think about, what is the highest ROI of my time? What are the most valuable ways I can use my time for content creation that gets me closer to that vision of what I want to do? So always ground yourself, of course, in like your vision, your mission, all of that we talked about last week, but also ground yourself in your structure of every single week. I set out to do 1 YouTube video, 3 TikToks. I'm not doing anything else until I've done that, because that's what I committed to do, and that's what will make me feel the most accomplished. Okay, and the last thing I want to say is that taking breaks is, I think, one of the biggest keys to success and being a content creator when you don't have a lot of time. I think it's really easy to get in the mindset. I think I talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but it's really easy to get in the mindset that if you take breaks, you will not be successful. That if you take breaks, you are out of control of your business, you're in a rut, you can't do it, you can't balance it, you don't have what it takes. Taking a break is the most in control decision you can do. If you are not taking breaks, you are out of control of your business, out of control of your content. And I think it's really easy to get in the mindset of, but if I take a break, everyone's going to forget me, I'm going to be irrelevant, I'm not going to be successful, everything's going to just fall apart. It's not true. That's a story we're telling ourselves that holds us back from prioritizing our mental health and prioritizing our business and what it needs from us. The best business strategy, the best content strategy is prioritizing your mental health. It's prioritizing your physical health, your happiness, your peace. Like, that is the best business strategy, because the business is you, the content is you. So if you're not thriving, if you're not having fun, if you're feeling really depleted, really burnt out, and just like really discouraged, the best thing you can do for your business is prioritize yourself. And how you do this as well is breaking that cycle of always getting so burnt out and so discouraged, because you create a structure that is sustainable, that makes sense for you, and you get into the mindset of, I don't need to burn myself out and post a million times a day to be successful. I have the structure that works and aligns with what I'm trying to do. It's so much better to have a profile full of content you're proud of, that you feel like is valuable, that's on brand for you, than a bunch of content that's just out there for the sake of posting. So all I'm trying to say is take a break when you need it. Don't push yourself to the maximum, because again, content creation is not the end all be all. There are so many other things, again, going on in your life, and it should be fun. Like, it could be easy, and it can be easy if you have a really good system of making content, a format that works for you, a series going on that you don't really have to think about too much. It takes a long time to figure all this out, to figure out what platforms work, what types of content's easy for you, what format's easy. Maybe it takes starting fresh in a new platform, or pivoting and rebranding and trying something completely new, or realizing you are kind of in this low point of this burnout. Like, maybe that's what it takes, but through all this trial and error and all this failure, you will figure out your system. I hope this podcast was helpful. I'm done my morning coffee for the day. I hope you are, by the way, if you're watching this on YouTube, enjoying the new setup. I'm in a new apartment. If you follow me on TikTok or Instagram, you know, but I hope you're kind of enjoying it. I'm still figuring out the exact setup, but I hope you're doing well. I hope you feel like you can breathe a little bit deeper after watching this episode. If you have any questions, always comment them down below. And thank you so much for listening or watching the Busy Blooming podcast. Feel free to go join our Busy Blooming community of content creators and entrepreneurs. I forget to say this every single week, but go join it. We have 1,000-something members. For the most part, a lot of us are doing the Content 30 right now on social media, so go check it out. It's a free challenge. It's like the 75 hard for content creators. And thank you so much for watching this, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.